Hey guys, in today's video I bring you a story that will give you goosebumps and make you question life after death. Let's meet Vesper Thorne, a woman who, during a near-death experience, witnessed something extraordinary and disturbing: souls suffering in the afterlife. She discovered surprising truths about cremation and what really happens after we leave this world. What Vesper saw will leave you speechless. So, before we start, leave your like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any content like this. Now, get ready for an intense and revealing journey. My name is Vesper Thorne, and I decided to share with you the most transformative experience of my life. I live in Asheville in North Carolina, a charming city nestled among the Blue Ridge Mountains. I am married to Jonah, my life partner for 15 years, and together we have 2 wonderful children. Our lives have always been filled with simple and meaningful moments, especially during the holidays when our home transforms into a little haven of joy and family traditions. I work as a literature teacher at the local school, and I have always been an active and healthy person. I practice yoga 3 times a week and go for regular walks on the trails near our house. I never imagined that, at 42 years old, I would be here sharing a story about my journey between life and death. It's strange to talk about, especially because I've always been a pretty skeptical person when it comes to supernatural or spiritual experiences. Our family has a strong connection with nature and local traditions. We grow our own herb and vegetable garden, and on weekends we often have picnics in the mountains. This connection with nature has always brought me peace and balance, something that would become even more meaningful after my experience. Before this happened, I was like many people, focused on my daily routine, worried about the small frustrations of everyday life, sometimes forgetting to appreciate the true beauty of life. I had my moments of anxiety about the future, and occasionally found myself dwelling on the past. It was an ordinary life, with its normal joys and challenges. What I'm about to share happened during the preparations for Christmas last year. Our house was decorated with twinkling lights, and the aroma of freshly baked cookies filled the air. It was a time of joy, of anticipating the festivities, of planning to reunite the family. Nothing could have prepared me for what was to come. Life, as I discovered, has a unique way of surprising us when we least expect it. And sometimes, it is precisely these unexpected moments that bring us the most profound lessons. Right now, I'm lying in my bed, feeling a headache I've never experienced before. It's like a million needles are piercing my skull simultaneously. The room lights, even dimmed, feel like knives cutting into my eyes. The digital clock on the bedside table reads 2:47 a.m. Its red numbers seem to pulse with an unbearable intensity. I try to move to reach the glass of water next to the bed, but my right arm doesn't respond. It's a scary feeling. I can see my arm there, but it's like it doesn't belong to me anymore. I try to call out to Jonah, who is sleeping soundly next to me, but my mouth feels numb. The words I want to say get stuck somewhere between my brain and my tongue. Panic begins to rise in my chest like an expanding bubble. I can hear my own breathing becoming more rapid and shallow. The room seems to spin around me, and the familiar shadows in the corners take on distorted, menacing shapes. The ticking of the clock on the wall echoes in my head like a hammer. I make a Herculean effort to move my left hand, which still responds to my commands. With trembling fingers, I try to touch Jonah's arm. My movements are clumsy, as if I'm trying to control my body through invisible strings. Sweat runs down my forehead, and I can feel the sheet sticking to my back. The feeling of helplessness is overwhelming. My mind is perfectly clear, cruel irony allowing me to fully understand the horror of the situation. I can hear the soft sound of my children's breathing through the wall, sleeping peacefully in their rooms, oblivious to the drama unfolding here. The thought of them gives me strength to make one last attempt. With all the energy I can muster, I force my left hand to shake Jonah's arm. The movement is weak, but it is enough. He stirs, mutters something incomprehensible, and finally opens his eyes. Our eyes meet, and I see the exact moment he realizes something is terribly wrong. Jonah's face turns into a mask of concern as he tries to understand what I'm trying to communicate. My attempts to speak only result in incomprehensible sounds, and frustration burns in my chest. I see the exact moment he realizes the gravity of the situation. His eyes widen, and he jumps out of bed with an energy I've never seen before. "Hang in there, my love," he says, his voice shaking as he dials 911. His words reach me like they come through a thick fog. I watch in a state of strange clarity, as he describes my symptoms to the emergency dispatcher. Every second seems to stretch into an eternity. Now I can hear the sirens approaching, their wail cutting through the early morning silence. Red and blue lights dance on the walls of our room, creating a surreal spectacle. Paramedics enter our sanctuary with methodical efficiency, bringing with them equipment and a stretcher. Their voices are calm and professional, but I can detect the urgency in their movements. They examine me quickly, asking questions I can't answer. Jonah speaks for me, his normally steady voice now shaking slightly. She was fine before she went to sleep, he explains. We were getting the house ready for Christmas. The normality of this sentence, contrasting with the chaos of the present moment, hits me like a punch in the stomach. The paramedics move me onto the gurney carefully, but each movement sends waves of pain through my skull. The hallway lights pass over me in a blur as I'm wheeled into the ambulance. I can see our children standing in the doorway of their rooms, their little faces confused and scared. I want to say it's going to be okay, but the words are still stuck. Inside the ambulance, the noise of the equipment and the rapid movement through the deserted streets create an atmosphere of palpable urgency. One of the paramedics inserts a needle into my left arm, while another monitors my vital signs. Jonah holds my unaffected hand, his fingers intertwined with mine like an anchor keeping me connected to reality. Through the small window of the ambulance, I see the first lights of dawn starting to dye the sky pink. The emergency room doors open automatically, and I am greeted by a medical team who are already waiting for us. The hospital's fluorescent lights are mercilessly bright, making my head pound even more. Voices overlap as paramedics relay information to doctors. Words like carotid dissection and ischemic stroke float in the air, carrying a weight that I understand even in my current state. They transfer me to a hospital stretcher with precise, well-practiced movements. A gray-haired doctor leans over me, her voice gentle but firm as she performs neurological tests. I feel it when she touches my right side, but it's as if the touch is coming through several layers of cotton. It moves a light before my eyes, and the pain it causes is almost unbearable. The monitors around me beep constantly, creating a technological symphony that sets the rhythm of the emergency. A nurse inserts yet another needle into my arm, and I feel a cold liquid running through my veins. A blood thinner, I hear someone explain. Time seems to move erratically, alternating between moments that drag on and others that pass in the blink of an eye. Jonah remains at my side, his face a mix of fear and determination. He answers doctors' questions about my medical history, holds my hand during exams, whispers words of encouragement that I can barely process. The activity around us is intense but orderly, a well-choreographed dance of professionals fighting against time. The test results start to come back, and I can feel the tension rising in the room. The gray-haired doctor speaks to Jonah in a low voice, but I can catch snippets of the conversation. We need to transfer her. Specialized center, helicopter, emergency surgery. Each word carries the weight of a sentence, and I feel my heart speed up on the monitor next to the bed. Through the emergency room windows, I see that the day is fully breaking now. The light of the rising sun creates golden patterns on the emergency room ceiling, a surreal contrast to the gravity of the situation. It's at this point that I start to feel something strange, a lightness that has nothing to do with the medications I'm receiving. I'm in the helicopter now, and something extraordinary starts to happen. The pain that once dominated every inch of my being begins to dissipate, not gradually, but as if someone had turned off a switch. The sounds of the helicopter, once deafening, begin to sound distant, as if they were being muffled by several layers of cotton. The dawn light streaming through the helicopter window looks different. It's no longer just light, but something alive, pulsing. Each ray unfolds into thousands of colors I have never seen before, colors that do not exist in our everyday world. It is as if each beam of light contains entire universes within it. I realize I'm moving, but not in the way the helicopter moves. It's a strange feeling, like I'm floating up and out of my own body. There is no fear in this moment, just a calm curiosity. I can see my physical body below me, lying on the stretcher, surrounded by medical staff. I see their frantic movements. I hear their worried voices, but everything seems to happen in slow motion. The feeling is indescribable, as if every atom of my being is expanding, connecting with something greater. I no longer feel the limits of my body. The paralysis that afflicted me moments before simply no longer exists in this new state. I am pure consciousness, free from the physical limitations I have always known. The roof of the helicopter no longer represents a barrier. I pass through it as if it were made of light, and I find myself climbing higher and higher. Below, the helicopter looks like a small metallic insect, and the city of Asheville becomes a miniature map. The Blue Ridge Mountains, which have always seemed so imposing to me, now look like gentle ripples on the surface of the earth. The atmosphere around me begins to change. The air appears to become denser, more luminous, as if each particle were made of liquid light. It's difficult to explain in earthly words, but it's as if you're crossing a membrane between two realities. There is no fear, no confusion, just a deep sense that I am going home, to a place I have always known but forgotten. Suddenly, I find myself in an environment that defies all earthly logic. I'm in a garden, but simply calling it a garden is like calling the ocean a puddle. The space around me pulses with life and consciousness. Each leaf, each petal seems to emit its own inner light, creating a visual symphony that makes my earthly eyes seem completely inadequate to capture all this beauty. The colors here are unlike anything I've ever tried. Imagine a color that is simultaneously all colors and none of them. That's how I can try to describe what I see. The flowers have petals that seem to be made of crystallized light, and when I move near them, they respond to my presence, not physically, but with ripples of energy and consciousness. The ground beneath my feet, although I'm not sure I still have feet in the conventional sense, is not solid as we know it. It's like walking on an energy field that adapts perfectly to my every movement. There are no shadows here, because the light comes from all directions simultaneously, not from a single source like the sun. The air, if I can call it that, is thick with meaning. Every breath I take is not just of oxygen, but of pure understanding. Information and sensations flow through me like a river of knowledge. It's as if every molecule of this place contains entire libraries of wisdom. Majestic trees rise around me, but they are not like earthly trees. Their trunks appear woven with threads of light, and their branches extend in fractal patterns that tell stories in their geometry. The sheets are like little universes, each containing miniature galaxies that dance and rotate on their surface. There is music here, but not in the sense we know it. It is as if reality itself is singing, a perfect harmony that emerges from the very existence of each thing. I don't hear with my ears, but I feel every note resonating through my being, as if every particle of my consciousness were an instrument in an infinite orchestra. As I absorb the magnificence of this heavenly garden, I become aware of a presence approaching. I don't see it first with my eyes, but I feel it with my whole being. It is as if a conscious energy field is gradually materializing. The presence takes shape before me, and that's when I find Ilara. Describing it is a challenge that human words can barely meet. She doesn't have a physical form as we know it, but I can still see her clearly. It is as if it were made of living, pulsating light, which constantly changes color and intensity. His presence imparts ancient wisdom and compassion so deep that I feel tears of recognition forming. Though I'm not sure I still have a physical body to cry in. There is no exchange of words in the conventional sense. Instead, your thoughts flow directly into my consciousness, crystal clear and charged with multiple meanings. Your every word is like a complete package of understanding unfolding in my mind. "Welcome, dear soul," she conveys to me, and in that simple greeting I feel all the love in the universe. You are safe here. This is a place of transition and understanding. Your communication carries not only the meaning of the words, but also emotions, memories, and deep truths that resonate through my being. I try to speak, but I realize I don't need to. My thoughts, doubts, and fears are immediately understood by her. Ilara emits an energy that instantly calms me, like a maternal hug that involves not only my being, but my entire existence. "You have so many questions," she communicates, and in her presence, I feel like all the questions I carry about life and death, about purpose and meaning, begin to organize themselves in my mind like a self-assembling puzzle. I am here to guide you through this time of transition, to show you truths that your heart already knows, but that your earthly mind has forgotten. His presence is at once old and new, familiar and extraordinary. It's as if I've known her forever, as if she were a part of me that has been patiently awaiting this reunion. Every moment in your presence is a revelation, an expansion of consciousness that transcends anything I have ever experienced in my earthly life. Now, Ilara begins to show me visions that unfold like three-dimensional films around us. The heavenly garden serves as a living canvas for these revelations. The first vision I receive is disturbing. I see souls wandering in a state of confusion and anguish. Initially, I think they are souls who suffered from the cremation of their bodies, but Ilara gently corrects my understanding. Look deeper, she guides me, and the images become clearer. I see that these souls carry the weight of their own choices and actions in life. It is not the way their bodies were treated after death that affects them, but rather the patterns of thought and behavior they cultivated during their earthly existences. Views change, and I now see how every decision we make in life creates energetic ripples that continue far beyond our physical existence. It's like watching a cosmic fabric being woven from the threads of our daily choices. Every act of kindness, every moment of compassion shines like a golden thread in this fabric. Likewise, every negative action leaves a dark mark that needs to be transformed through learning and love. Physical death, Ilara shows me, is just a transition. What truly matters is the state of consciousness we develop. As she imparts this knowledge, I see how our beliefs and actions shape our experience after death. Some souls, trapped by limiting concepts and earthly fears, create their own prisons. Others, who have cultivated love and understanding, naturally find peace and evolution. A deep understanding crosses me. There is no divine punishment, only the natural consequences of our choices and the learning they provide. I see how each soul eventually finds its way to the light, even if some need more time and help to process their earthly experiences. Ilara shows me that the purpose of life is not to achieve some form of impossible perfection, but rather to grow through experiences, learn through challenges, and most importantly, develop the ability to love in an increasingly deeper and unconditional way. As I absorb Ilara's revelations, I sense a new presence approaching. A beam of golden light materializes next to me, and I immediately recognize the energy. It's Max, my beloved dog who left 5 years ago. His spiritual form is both familiar and transcendent. He doesn't appear exactly like the Labrador I knew, but as a pure essence of unconditional love and loyalty. The joy of the reunion is overwhelming. There is no physical barrier that separates humans and animals here. We communicate on a level of pure consciousness. I feel all the love we shared in life, multiplied infinitely. Max shows me that he remained by my side even after his departure, an invisible guardian in moments of sadness and joy. Soon after, other presences begin to manifest themselves. They are different versions of myself, from past lives. It's a surreal experience to watch these other expressions of my soul. I see myself as a teacher in the 19th century, dedicated to educating children in a small village. I recognize myself in a healer from ancient times, who knew the secrets of medicinal plants. Each version brings unique learnings and challenges. Ilara gently explains, "Notice how each lifetime has contributed to who you are today." I begin to understand how certain skills and fears I carry are inheritances from these previous lives. My current passion for teaching, my love for nature, it all connects into an intricate tapestry of accumulated experiences. Different versions of me are not separate or distant. They all exist simultaneously on this spiritual plane. It is like looking through a kaleidoscope of the soul, where each turn reveals a new pattern of existence, all connected by the same thread of consciousness. A profound realization hits me. We are not limited to a single expression of being. Each life is an opportunity to explore different aspects of our essence, to learn new lessons, to expand our capacity to love and understand. The barriers of time and space that we know on Earth do not exist here. Everything is an eternal now, where past, present, and future dance in perfect harmony. In this moment of deep understanding, Ilara directs my attention to something different. Like an ethereal screen, I see images forming. They are my children and Jonah. In the present, the vision is devastating in its clarity. I see my little ones waking up confused, asking for me. I watch Jonah in the hospital, his face etched with fear and hope, holding my physical hand as the doctors work frantically. Watch carefully, Ilara guides me, as this is an important choice. The images continue to unfold, showing the possible consequences of my departure. I see my children growing up without their mother's presence, precious moments that would be empty, graduations, weddings, the birth of grandchildren. I see Jonah struggling to keep our family together, carrying an immense weight of responsibility and longing. I feel a different pain now. Not physical, but spiritual. It's the weight of the choice I have before me. Part of my being longs to remain on this plane of existence, where all is light, understanding, and unconditional love. But another part squirms at the sight of the suffering my absence would cause. Remember, Ilara communicates softly, that every choice is honored here. There is no judgment, only consequences and learning. Your words carry a deep truth that resonates through my being. I understand that this decision is not about right or wrong, but about the path my soul chooses to take. In a moment of crystal clarity, I make my choice. The love for my family, the understanding that I still have lessons to learn and teach on earth, the desire to see my children grow up. All of these outweigh the comfort and peace of this spiritual plane. Ilara envelops my essence in an embrace of light. You chose with your heart, she conveys, and that is always the truest path. I feel your blessing and your love as I begin to prepare for my return. The heavenly garden begins to dissolve around me, but I know its lessons and truths will remain engraved in my soul. The process of returning is intensely different from the smoothness with which I left my body. It's like being sucked into an energy tunnel, where all the lightness and peace of the spiritual plane is gradually replaced by increasingly intense physical sensations. The pain, which had completely disappeared during my heavenly garden experience, begins to return in increasing waves. I realize now that I'm in the operating room. I can hear the doctors' voices, the sound of the equipment, the constant beeping of the heart monitors. My consciousness wavers between two worlds. I can still feel an echo of Ilara's presence, but it fades like the last chord of a distant song. My body is convulsing. I feel violent spasms coursing through every muscle, as if my physical system is struggling to readjust to the presence of the soul. It's a terrible feeling, like trying to fit something huge into a space that's too small. I hear alarmed voices, orders being given, the metallic sound of surgical instruments. "We're losing her," someone shouts, and I feel an electric shock shoot through my chest. The shock of the defibrillator anchors me even more firmly to my physical body. It's as if each cell is being reanimated, reconnected, recalibrated to function in sync again. The pain on the right side of my body is intense, but different from the previous numbness. Now it's a living, pulsing pain, a sign that my body is struggling to recover. I feel the metallic taste of blood in my mouth, the strong smell of antiseptics, the cold of the operating room on my exposed skin. Every physical sensation, no matter how uncomfortable, is a reminder that I am truly coming back. The doctors continue working, their voices now more hopeful. "We have a heart rate," someone announces, and I realize I've chosen the right moment to return. My body is still weak, but it is responding to the treatment. The surgery continues, and although I cannot move or speak, I am fully aware of each procedure. Slowly, the memories of the celestial garden begin to become more hazy, like a dream that dissipates at dawn. But the essence of what I learned, the love I felt, and Ilara's comforting presence remain etched in my soul. I know that my recovery will be long and challenging, but I also know with a certainty that transcends common understanding that I made the right choice in returning. If you like this beautiful spiritual testimony, leave a like, comment on your impressions, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to activate the notification bell to watch each new video and help us spread this message to a greater number of people. Until next time.